One Punch Man Season 3 has finally aired, and the bloody battle between humanity and monsters is about to begin. That troublemaker Garou is also preparing to evolve to a whole new level. The episode opens with a high-tension meeting at the Hero Association. Everyone is wide-eyed and slack-jawed because the mountain-sized monster, Elder Centipede, was punched into fried powder by someone, vanishing without leaving even a single whisker. No one in the association can believe this surreal scene, but they are certain that only the Boss King has enough prestige to create such a divine explosion. The whole council breathes a sigh of relief. Luckily, King is still the meta, otherwise, they would be doomed. But before they can celebrate, news arrives that the hero hunter Garou is causing chaos, and even his master, Bang, failed to settle the score. The group laments that if this hero hunting spree continues, the association might as well disband to avoid further humiliation. One executive speaks philosophically, suggesting they should treat Garou as a true monster. The next time he shows his face, they should sound the dragon-level alarm so citizens can flee. Another executive scratches his head, unable to understand what kind of human could be tough enough to take on S-class heroes. Then, the whole crowd starts arguing noisily like old men playing chess. Clearly, Bang lost the fight, but he also left Garou severely battered, hoping he would stop being such a nuisance. A bald executive, full of aggression, demands they call Blast into action since he is at the top but is as lazy as a cat. However, another executive stops him, arguing that if a hero is forced to work, there is no more freedom. Right then, a voice interrupts, now is the time. A billionaire whose son was kidnapped by the Monster Association is fuming, questioning why 24 hours have passed without any action. A man steps forward, declaring he will save the boy and that he is the commander of this campaign. Shortly after, Atomic Samurai and his 3 disciples arrive. This guy had been scouring everywhere since yesterday but still couldn't find the Monster Association's lair. Super Alloy Darkshine then remarks, "It's in the ghost town, where else were you looking?" Atomic Samurai's jaw drops as he asks, "How did you know that?" At this moment, the idol Sweet Mask appears and mocks Atomic Samurai, saying he shouldn't bring along his useless disciples. If they get killed, it's fine, but if they are taken hostage, it's a disaster. Atomic Samurai asks if he is going too, and the idol recounts how his concert was crashed by monsters yesterday. Atomic Samurai laughs back, mocking him by saying he'll tell his disciples to protect the young idol. Hearing this, Sweet Mask boasts that he stays in A-class just to gatekeep, and he could move to S-class whenever he wants, claiming he's many times stronger than Atomic Samurai. This comment makes the samurai red-faced with rage. Immediately after, Tatsumaki, Pig God, and Super Alloy Darkshine are summoned to the base. Tatsumaki mocks the association, saying they didn't call her just for something simple. The commander then opens a 3D screen, revealing that yesterday Drive Knight went on a solo investigation but lost his server connection and might have been taken out. Tatsumaki doesn't care and just urges them to call more people. Meanwhile, Child Emperor is hacking like a professional IT expert, working with the scout team to find the lair, but the area is too vast. Even at high speed, it would take 3 days while the deadline is only 2. Tatsumaki remembers the lair is somewhere in the ghost town of City Z and demands to just level the whole city to make it quick. A staff member has to remind her, "Ma'am, the hostage." Tatsumaki remains stubborn, but Sekingar pleads with her to use her brain a little, which irritates the big sister. Meanwhile, Pori Pori prisoner has just been released. The head warden hated him for escaping so many times but finally had to let him out to fight. As he proudly leaves, his subordinates hand him a pink sweater, telling their big brother to remember to wear the one they knitted. At the association, Child Emperor kicks all staff out and calls Metal Knight, knowing he is eavesdropping. The boy says he knows Metal Knight knows the lair's location but won't speak. Metal Knight replies that if he reveals it, other people's lives will be affected, so he won't. Child Emperor doesn't understand why he's afraid. Metal Knight simply says Orochi ruined him with one hit and he fears other evil forces are still lurking. He warns the boy to be careful, not to trust those right next to him, and that if he wants to carry out justice, doing it alone is enough. At a certain building, the man whose son was kidnapped is furious, ordering armored men to rescue his child. In a corner, Zombie Man is observing, certain he has found the target. This is the safest house in the world, the home of the bald Caped Saitama. Today, Fubuki comes again to recruit Saitama, only to be confused when an unfamiliar old man opens the door. Entering the house, she becomes even more bewildered. What the hell? Why are there so many S-class heroes here? After the battle with Garou, Bang, and Bomb, 2 old men with backaches and cramps came to Saitama's house under the pretext of recovering and refused to leave. Genos had just been repaired for half a day and was already broken again. King and Saitama are playing games as usual. When Saitama finally notices her, he asks what she's there for. Fubuki screams that the Fubuki group has been wiped out and this monster association is extremely dangerous, it's no time to climb the ranks. But Saitama just lies there, saying he just took a bath and dried off, so why should he go fight already? Fubuki furiously slams the table, summoning everyone to the main headquarters, as they have declared all-out war on the monster association. But now, the house is full of the sick and disabled, leaving Fubuki totally discouraged. Genos suggests he needs time for repairs, others need rest, and King says he has private business, leaving only Saitama and Fubuki. She is hesitant, not knowing what to do now that the association has acted. Bang worries that Garou might join the monster association. King then turns to gossip with Saitama about the hero hunter who's making waves. Saitama casually mentions he heard rumors on his way home about some heroes being turned into pulp. But then, Saitama's face suddenly darkens, radiating a murderous aura. He's not furious because he's worried about the heroes, but for a ridiculous reason: that guy hunted the whole city but dared to completely ignore me? Unforgivable. With that, he enters serious hero mode, puts on his cape, and prepares for battle. Everyone thinks the One Punch Man has located Garou and is going to carry the whole war, but his only goal is to hunt down that brat Garou and give him a beating for the crime of looking down on him. Meanwhile, after being rescued by Phoenix Man, Garou wakes up in a strange room. On the table is a recruitment letter from the Monster Association. Welcome to the villain team. We saved you, so sit tight and wait for orders. If you show your face outside, you'll become a target for the heroes, son. Covered in wounds, Garou struggles to change his clothes as a gnawing hunger hits. He finds this Monster Association incredibly annoying but decides to play along for now. He follows a blood-scented hallway to a brightly lit room. There, a pathetic sight greets him. A group of heroes is kneeling before a one-eyed monster named Joro, begging for their lives. Joro blames them for accidentally killing 2 of its soldiers. So now they must pay. It turns out these people weren't captured by the association directly, but by someone named Samurai G5. Just then, Joro's voice rings in Garou's head, telling him to wait because these soldiers still have use. Joro hands them over to do S. As the whips crack down, they all transform into crazed monsters. Amidst the chaos, Garou steps out, surprised to see a giant monster behind him. Joro orders its subordinates to be quiet so it can close the deal itself. Garou asks directly what it wants him to do. Joro answers clearly: the Monster Association is currently understaffed and lacks unity. It wants Garou to become a top leader. Of course. A good deal always has conditions. Joro adds that their leader, Orochi, has one requirement: Garou must prove he is a true monster by bringing back the head of a hero within 1 day. Joro also mentions that Elder Centipede was defeated and Master Bang is still alive, making Garou freeze for a moment. After Garou sets out on his mission, in a dark basement, 2 demon-level monsters appear. They are ordered to follow and monitor the association's new talent. After the Monster Association declared war on the entire world, an unstable alliance was formed. A crowd of people gathered amidst the chaos, demanding to cooperate with the monsters. Their logic was that humans couldn't possibly win, and resisting would only lead to death. They figured it was better to join them as allies and occasionally offer up a few human sacrifices. These men accepted their fate and even started a group, though they wore ninja masks to hide their faces in public. Just then, a keyboard hero appeared and shouted, "I'm not a coward like you guys. Even if I'm taken out, I'll never shake hands with monsters." The crowd replied, "Then we'll start with you," and rushed in to jump him. Suddenly, Garou walked by and swept the first 2 guys away as light as a feather. He mocked them, offering sacrifices to monsters? Do you really think monsters are that easygoing? Shortly after, outside a cafe, a drunk man was causing a scene and shouting, "The world is ending. Why should I follow the rules anymore?" Garou walked up and told him to get out of the way because he was blocking the entrance. The guy pulled out a knife and barked, "What did you just say?" But Garou snapped the blade, pointed it at the man's eye, and growled, "I said, get out of the way." Starving, Garou finally sat down to eat. He thought the amount of food he ordered would be enough for an elephant, but after finishing, he realized it barely hit the spot. So, he ordered every meat dish on the menu, a salad, and a bunch of drinks. After eating, he finally felt completely satisfied. In another development, Saitama was also sitting in that very same restaurant. After finishing his meal, he felt blissful, but then he suddenly realized a painful truth: he had left his wallet at home. He began to panic, wondering what to do. He thought about calling Genos, but realized Genos was away for repairs. At that moment, the shop announced a lunch special, stating that although the city was in chaos, customers shouldn't worry because a professional hero was there to protect them. Saitama thought to himself, "I'm doomed. If I say I forgot my wallet now, they'll think I'm just making an excuse to dine and dash." Stressed out, he felt like this was the worst day of the year. Suddenly, a voice spoke up beside him, "Hey, what are you doing here?" It was Fubuki, who had tracked him down. She asked if he was looking for the hero hunter, noting that he didn't even know what the guy looked like. While she was rambling on, Saitama ordered an extra-large portion of fries. Fubuki continued, saying she wanted to help him. He had reached Class B rank 7 quickly, but rising higher would be difficult without her help. When the plate of fries was served, Saitama slowly pushed it toward Fubuki. As soon as she took a bite, Saitama burst out laughing. Fubuki thought to herself that he must be laughing because he liked her plan and was about to join her team. Suddenly, a girl screamed from behind, "Hey, there's a dine and dasher." Saitama jumped out of his skin, thinking she meant him, and hurriedly waved his hands. "It wasn't me. I didn't do anything. But when he turned around, he saw it was someone else, Garou. Saitama realized this was his chance and bolted for the exit. Fubuki tried to stop him, but Saitama yelled back, "You ate a fry, so you pay the bill." Fubuki was shocked to her core, unable to believe that he'd make her pay the entire bill just because of one fry. Even with the world ending, his personality was still that difficult to deal with. Meanwhile, Garou recalled the words of the boss, Joro. He could live in luxury at the Monster Association, but first, he had to prove he was a monster by bringing back a hero's head. Garou thought that was ridiculous. A true monster should be someone who makes others pee their pants in fear just by looking at them. Just then, he saw the boy Taro being bullied by a group of other kids. "If you escape from that place, it means you're a monster too," they taunted. Garou stepped in and chased the bullies away. Terio was crying, and Garou mocked him, "What a coincidence, it's you again, you ugly brat. Look at you, crying so pathetically." Terio talked back, calling him old man. Garou snapped, "Old? I'm only 18, and told the boy to go home because it was getting dark and the hour of the monsters was coming." Taro burst into tears and apologized to Garou for running away before. The boy said he knew the heroes must have misunderstood and attacked Garou, but he knew Garou had tried to save him. Garou told the boy to shut up and go home. Suddenly, Saitama's voice rang out from behind, "Hey, you dined and dashed? Aren't you ashamed? I'll let it slide today, but if you do it again, you're in for it." As Saitama turned to leave, Garou called out, "Hey, where do you think you're going? You're a hero, right? Are you scared of me? What's your hero name?" Saitama broke into a cold sweat and stammered, "My name is Caped Baldy." Garou thought to himself that the name sounded lame, and though the guy looked like a small fry, he still needed a hero's head. However, Terio pointed out that this hero wasn't in the official directory and was likely just a rookie. "Is he telling the truth? Did you really dine and dash?" the boy asked. Garou was infuriated. He couldn't stand being looked down upon by a nameless hero, mocked by kids, and underestimated by the Monster Association. He decided to show them who the real monster was. He walked up, put his hand on Saitama's shoulder, and said, "The fun is over. I'm a monster. You dare underestimate me?" But Saitama took him out with a single punch. Saitama muttered, "I haven't paid either, I can't be seen with you or I'll be dragged into this too." He looked down at Garou, who was unconscious. "Damn it, there's a witness here too," he worried. He asked Terio if he knew him, and the boy said no. Saitama looked at the hero directory in the boy's hand and was heartbroken to see his name wasn't in it. After Saitama left, Terio tried to wake Garou. When he came to, Garou asked what happened. Terio lied, saying the bald hero got scared and ran away after apologizing. Garou was devastated. "What? I lost? Who was that hero?" Just then, Royal Ripper and Bug God appeared. They had been watching for a long time and told Garou, "You're no monster. We saw you help that kid, and you lost to a bottom-tier hero." Terio fell over in fear. In the hero directory, Royal Ripper was listed as a notorious monster famous for kidnapping children. Garou told the boy to go home, but Terio was frozen in terror. The scene shifted to Joro, where Phoenix Man asked why Royal Ripper and Bug God were sent to tail Garou, knowing they were dangerous killers who might execute him. Joro explained the goal was to break Garou as a test to destroy his body and mind so that his monsterization would accelerate. When asked about the plan for Garou, Joro revealed that Lord Orochi was once a human just like Garou. And only Joro knew the secret to transforming someone into a second Orochi. Elsewhere, Zombie Man finally found the hideout of a mysterious organization. He had been tracking them and noticed large shipments of goods, equipment, and strange powders arriving daily. He believed this organization was even more dangerous than the Monster Association and was the mastermind behind everything. Zombie Man stormed in and declared, "The game is over. I know all your secrets." A man replied, "Oh, a customer? I'm preparing the goods." But Zombie Man remained serious, "I am Zombie Man, the immortal hero. Or rather, I am test subject number 66. Remember me?" It turned out the man was Armored Gorilla, now working for Dr. Genus. He replied, "So you came to destroy the House of Evolution?" "Sorry. It's been gone for a long time." Zombie Man was shocked. Armored Gorilla invited him in to explain everything. Poor Zombie Man had been searching for the House of Evolution for so long, unaware it had already been wiped out. Back with Garou, Bug God and Royal Ripper stepped forward, telling Garou that if he wanted to prove he was a monster, he had to kill Terio. Naturally, Garou refused and told Terio to run, but the boy was paralyzed. Garou barked, "Are you crazy? No one is coming to save you. You have to get strong and save yourself." Royal Ripper lunged to attack, but Garou blocked it with his water stream rock smashing fist and delivered a powerful kick. The combat finally began. Royal Ripper blocked the strike, and though his joint was dislocated, he snapped it back into place. The two monsters prepared to gang up on Garou, and Garou stood ready. At this moment, Dr. Genos was taunting Zombie Man. "Oh my god, what a surprise. Even an old man like Zombie Man came here personally to be a guinea pig for the House of Evolution?" Sitting opposite him, Zombie Man was offered a cup of coffee. Genos began to reminisce, telling him that Zombie Man was his Subject 66, a perfectly successful experiment. However, Zombie Man had ruined the game by destroying the laboratory and escaping. That was 15 years ago. Now Zombie Man had become a hero and changed significantly. Suddenly, Zombie Man brandished his axe and asked Genos why the House of Evolution had vanished. You could have Genos sighed and admitted that his research had failed. He had witnessed a power that far surpassed any artificial evolution, one who had broken his own limits. He explained that everyone has a growth limit, and the greater the power, the higher the risk of internal fire, losing control, turning into a mindless monster. That is why God installed a limiter on all living creatures to help them survive and protect themselves. Meanwhile, Garou was caught in a difficult battle. Facing just one opponent would have been manageable, but fighting two powerful monsters simultaneously proved difficult even for him. The terrifyingly hard body of Bug God landed a punch that nearly shattered Garou's arm bones, and his strength was equally immense. Garou was sent flying into the sky until he was caught by power lines and electrocuted. Despite the shock, Garou endured it and used the momentum from the current to dive back into the fray. On the other side, Genos' voice continued to explain the concept of the limiter. However, Genos was talking about someone else, a special individual who had pushed his limits to the extreme, broken them, and now possessed unparalleled, limitless power. Zombie Man argued that such power couldn't be bought with money, but Genos taunted him, why not? He certainly paid a price for it. He went bald, became isolated, and even after defeating monsters, his face remains as bored as ever. Zombie Man thought Genos was talking nonsense, but the doctor continued to explain the origins of monsters. There are two types, those created through scientific experiments and those created through cellular mutation. However, no monster was ever created by breaking its limiter. Creatures like the Deep-Sea King or the aliens that attack City A were naturally born that way. As for heroes, they are born with potential and work hard to develop that talent. Some hack the game by joining experiments, and some are natural-born geniuses, but that man is different. He was born ordinary and lived an ordinary life with no special talent. But somehow, he broke his limiter. Genos remarked that one day, Zombie Man might have the chance to meet him because he is also a hero. Meanwhile, Garou was still in combat with Bug God and Royal Ripper. However, in a short amount of time, Garou began to adapt to his opponent's movements. After all, no matter how strong they were, they couldn't compare to those two old men, Bang and Bomb. After spitting out a broken tooth, Garou spat on the ground with a boom. The ground exploded into a deep crater. Just as he was about to counterattack, a cry for help echoed from behind. Terrio, who was running away, had been captured. At that exact moment, Royal Ripper delivered a fatal blow, his blade flashes resembling a Tyrannosaurus Rex. In a split second, Garou was slashed countless times. Royal Ripper gave a satisfied smile as Garou lay in a pool of blood, completely lifeless. At Saitama's house, King and Genos, the cyborg, were playing games, or rather, King was playing while Genos watched. Genos began overthinking again, believing he was the weakest and needed to become stronger. Meanwhile, Bang and Bomb were complaining that finding Garou was like looking for a needle in a haystack. However, Genos believed that Master Saitama would surely find Garou and destroy the Monster Association. King, on the other hand, was worried Saitama might be seduced or tricked and fall into a monster's trap. Just then, Saitama returned looking a bit disheveled. Everyone was startled, thinking he had already made mincemeat out of Garou. Saitama grumbled, "Are you guys still here?" The blood on him and his exhausted expression worried them all. But then, Saitama lamented something completely unexpected. The worst thing happened. "I lost my wallet." Everyone froze, then breathed a sigh of relief, thinking he had been in a life-or-death struggle with Garou. But then Saitama screamed again, giving them another scare, "Back there! At the shop where I ate my cabbage! I left my cabbage there!" Once again, the group was speechless. Genos volunteered to retrieve the cabbage for his master, but Bang stopped him. Just then, Fubuki appears, also angry at Saitama. But she has brought back cabbage for him. Saitama's face lights up with joy. Fubuki starts to unleash a tirade, scolding him for leaving her alone at the restaurant with the bill. Saitama thinks she wants him to apologize for the bill, but in reality, Fubuki is angry because he left in the middle of their conversation. Genos, meanwhile, gets needlessly jealous, wondering why this woman keeps clinging to his master. Suddenly, Genos senses something approaching, but with his battered body, he can't do anything. He tells King to go out and fight, but King just stands at the door, saying there's no monster, only a visitor. It's Dr. Casino, who has come to check on Genos. He had received an unusual signal and was worried about him. The two begin to chat about upgrading the system. Casino asks who defeated the monster that gave Genos such a beating, and Genos proudly says it was his master. Casino has always wanted to meet Saitama. He introduces himself as a mechanical engineer and thanks Saitama for being such a good master. He has brought a gift, high-quality beef. Genos thinks it's some kind of component for his master, but Saitama is overjoyed, telling Casino he can come over to talk about Genos and bring gifts like this anytime. Fubuki is annoyed because Saitama is so easily won over by food. The group prepares to cook. Joro is interrogating Royal Ripper and Bug God. The two report that Garou failed the test and they accidentally killed him. Joro is suspicious, but Bug God confirms that Garou was a madman who kept calling them monsters. Joro asks if Garou was really dead, and Royal Ripper says he probably is. Joro then asks why they brought the boy back. Royal Ripper says she brought him back to eat. Joro scolds them for being foolish, saying that the Hero Association is watching them and the S-Class heroes are itching for a fight. After that, we see a series of monsters having a team meeting, preparing for the war with humans. Many high-level monsters appear, including Phoenix Man. They are confident that they are stronger than humans and that the heroes are just flies. There is a discussion about how the strongest S-Class hero is Flashy Flash, and the rest are just small fry. They also discuss how to deal with those who have supernatural powers and cyborgs. They conclude that cyborgs are easy to deal with, but those with supernatural powers are more difficult. The girl says that they will finish off their opponents so quickly they won't even have time to activate their skills. Over here, Royal Ripper is with the boy. And G5 appears. He is holding something, and Royal Ripper asks if he stole it from a hero. G5 says no, he took it for research. The boy realizes it's a part from Metal Knight and worries about him. G5 leaves, and Royal Ripper locks the boy in a cage where Waganma, the son of a major sponsor, is also being held. The boy is hungry and Terrio gives him some food, but Waganma acts snobbishly, calling Terrio useless. The two start bragging about how important Waganma's father is and how the heroes will come to save them. The mud monster standing outside the cage taunts them, saying they will never get to go home. Waganma taunts back, saying the heroes will come and beat it up, especially Metal Bat. The octopus monster scoffs, saying they are not afraid of heroes. It also reveals that the Monster Association was formed to wipe out humanity, and they have dragon-level monsters even stronger than S-Class heroes, some even with godlike powers, and that even King will be eliminated. Garou lies in a pool of blood, still alive but heavily injured. Meanwhile, Garou, who should have been dead, crawled back up from a pool of blood. Countless gruesome wounds on his body were stuck to his clothes, making them inseparable. Garou recalled the battle with the monsters. What on earth is happening? Why was I sleeping here? I lost, so why am I still alive? What happened to that kid, was he captured? But now isn't the time for overthinking, I must stop the bleeding first. Wait, has the bleeding already stopped? Garou immediately flexed his energy, his muscles bulging. Steam rose as he once again evolved to a higher level of existence. Meanwhile, at the Hero Association, Child Emperor was diligently checking the map to locate the Monster Association and was nearly successful. Sakinga came to meet him and asked if he had found it yet and if the S-Class heroes had fully gathered. Not yet. Tank Top Master and Metal Bat are still recovering in the hospital, while Dried Knight is missing. Watchdog Man and Metal Knight refused to participate. Zombie Man is on his way, but we haven't been able to contact Silver Fawn, Demon Cyborg, or King yet. We are planning to invite them because this campaign is vital. Wait, I just investigated Demon Cyborg a bit and discovered he lives in the ghost town of City Z. That area is also the lair of the Monster Association. We don't know much about this organization yet, so if there is a spy in the team, our plan will fail and everyone will be wiped out. Genos has only recently joined, so we cannot trust him completely. So, you suspect him just because he lives in City Z? If that's the case, why don't you just ask him directly? No, there's no need. We will remove him from this mission because we cannot afford to fail. Sakinga agreed, and Child Emperor also suggested excluding Silverfang from this battle because Garou is his student. The Hero Association believes that Garou has joined the Monster Association, so he could become Silverfang's Achilles heel. Sakinga agreed and went to inform Sitch. Upon hearing this, Sitch was shocked to his core. Don't worry, we will recruit several more pro heroes from Class A to C to support the S-Class. I know you're afraid they'll die, but I don't think anyone participating in this mission can expect to return alive. Regardless, by choosing the path of a professional hero, they must accept the risks to their lives. A hostage's life is at stake, so we have to make sacrifices. Sitch tried to explain this to Sakinga and told him to be mindful of the upcoming consequences. I understand your point, you want us to prepare for the worst-case scenario. But I think differently. The Monster Association is the very prophecy of the apocalypse we were warned about. If we just leave it be, humanity will go extinct. This is the decisive moment for the Hero Association. If we win, we won't have to live in fear anymore. The future doesn't matter right now, just follow my plan and don't tell Silver Fawn or the others. At Saitama's house, the group was waiting for Hotpot, chopsticks ready for battle. However, the Hotpot spilled, and they had to catch the food flying through the air. Saitama told everyone to give up on the hot pot, but no one would listen. Thus, they began to scrap with each other. Dr. Casino was very happy to see Genos get angry, as he was able to see a different side of him, and he was also glad that Genos finally had friends. Fubuki invited Dr. Casino to join her group, which made Genos annoyed. Silverfawn was asking Saitama for the secret to training a student because Garou had gone astray, but Saitama didn't care. They all started eating hot pot again. As for King, he had fainted after the hot pot battle. Meanwhile, Garou had reached the Monster Association's base. Joro also sensed his presence but thought it was some hero, so she sent monsters to deal with him. The next morning, Saitama woke King up and told him to go home. Saitama handed him a trash bag. King really liked the piece of the ghost town because it was abandoned due to the frequent appearance of monsters. But because Saitama lived there, no monster dared to show its face. King threw away the trash and returned to his apartment, where several people from the Hero Association were waiting for him. When they learned King's signal transmitter was broken in battle and that he was in City Z last night, they immediately assumed King had been fighting monsters all night. They thought the stains on his clothes were their blood. King tried to explain it was from the hot pot, but they wouldn't listen and told him to go to the Hero Association immediately. Meanwhile, Narinki was terrified. Captain Tongara said he would contact me every 2 hours, but he didn't contact me all last night. I gathered the strongest team and equipped them with the best weapons. Could they have still lost? Is the Monster Association really that strong? If so, will the heroes also be wiped out if they go there? Sakinga told Narinki to get some rest because he had been up all night, but Narinki said his team had been decimated, so he didn't think the heroes could do much. Even so, he was still willing to pay any price to save his son. Just then, the S-Class heroes appeared and said they didn't need money because killing monsters was their duty. They would destroy the monsters and save his son. We learn that Child Emperor has found the location of the Monster Association, and they are just waiting for King and the support team. They will attack in the afternoon to rescue the boy. Tatsumaki told Narinki to rest easy and go to sleep, and he left anxiously. The S-Class heroes began their strategic meeting. I will give everyone a map of the ghost town because I have discovered many secret entrances to the Monster Association. We will split up to enter because the risk of being wiped out at the same time is higher if we stay in one group. I will give each person a signal transmitter so we can track each other's positions. The most important task right now is to rescue the boy, so we will strike fast and finish quickly. The support team will wait outside. If any monster tries to escape the perimeter, they will finish it. We cannot let them enter the city. Sakinga said they had chosen people who could handle tiger-level monsters for the support team. Hearing this, Tatsumaki asked if they had called her younger sister, Fubuki. Sakinga said yes. Tatsumaki immediately forbade Fubuki from participating and threatened Sakinga that if he let her sister face danger, she would not forgive him. Sakinga had no choice but to listen. But meanwhile, Royal Ripper came to get Terio. Narinki's son thought he was about to be released, but Royal Ripper said he just wanted to play with Terio. Terio started screaming for the heroes to save him, but Royal Ripper said the Hero Association was only coming to save Narinki's son and that no one knew Terio was there. Meanwhile, a few other monsters were searching for the person Joro had sensed. Since the previous team had been slaughtered by Garou, they didn't know who had arrived. They saw the fragments of monster corpses and realized it was another monster that hated the Monster Association. So, they began searching for Garou. Meanwhile, Terio was screaming for help, not understanding why Royal Ripper was doing this to him. No, I'm doing this because I'm a monster. I don't care about this war. I don't care whether the new world is ruled by monsters or not. I just like killing people, and that is the only reason I live. And right now, I am obsessed with you. Now, I'm going to cut your tongue out, mwahaha. As Terio screamed for help, Garou smashed through the wall and charged in. Royal Ripper was terrified and tried to swing his blades, but Garou broke them with one hand. Using the water stream rock smashing fist, Royal Ripper's head was blown away by a single punch. Understanding that the opponent could regenerate at high speed, Garou didn't give him the chance. With full force from the whirlwind iron cutting fist, Royal Ripper turned into a pile of minced meat, losing his ability to regenerate. Garou then told Terio to go outside. After Garou had finished off Royal Ripper, he ripped away the monster's bandages but found nothing inside. So, he took those same bandages to wrap his own wounds. He told Terio, if you get caught again, you'd be better off dead. Terio asked how he knew he was there. Since Garou had already begun turning into a monster, he only growled and led the boy away, even though the kid was wetting his pants in fear. Garou figured his revenge was complete and there was no reason to stay, so he decided to make his getaway. If the boy wanted to come along, he had to keep his mouth shut. Garou began to run. The boy asked why they had to run when he was injured and needed rest. Garou snapped, no. There's a monster that could wipe out this entire area. If we stay still, someone else will come to ambush us. So, Garou decided to find the shortest escape route. The boy started crying again, saying another child his age was being held hostage and asking if Garou would save him. Garou yelled, "I didn't come here to save you, and I'm not here to save him. I came here for revenge, understand?" Right then, a colossal monster dog appeared behind the boy. Even Garou was wary and told the boy to get behind him. Realizing this creature was no pushover, he didn't want to risk a fight to the death just yet. He slowly backed away, thinking he had maintained a safe distance, but when he turned around, he found a pack of other monsters already standing there. There was a shower-headed one named Soulhead, demon level, a multi-eyed one called Unihorn, demon level, and a rat named Supermouse, also demon level. They taunted him, "Oh, so you sided with the humans now? Why bother acting like a hero hunter anymore?" They rushed in to attack Garou, but Garou was still Garou. Using his unique style, he performed a few moves and served them up on a platter. They kept bragging, "You're just a martial arts hero hunter. We are demon-level monsters. You won't escape." Garou shot back, "In that case, I'm dragon level." The rat scoffed, "Dragon level is reserved for the final bosses here, you're not even in the league." Then Unihorn charged, but Garou kicked him straight toward the monster dog. A growl echoed, it seemed the monster dog had torn Unihorn apart. The other monsters began to break into a cold sweat, thinking that the high-level monster was hungry. Garou was puzzled, "That dog is high-level?" "That's right. Our hierarchy is based on the level of destruction, and that dog's name is Rover, a dragon-level monster." Rover immediately spat a ball of energy toward them. The rat was still confident, saying, "I have regeneration, I'll survive," but Garou grabbed the boy and bolted. The explosion shook the entire area, and even the surface ground was affected. Saitama felt it too, but he didn't care, he was still busy reading manga. After finishing, he went outside to see what was happening. After Rover's attack, everything was in ruins, but Garou and the boy survived. Garou told the boy, "Go on your own. I have to go solo now." The boy cried, "I can't survive by myself." Garou snapped, "I don't care, just go. If I stay with you, I'll die too. If you're lucky enough to survive, handle it yourself." The boy ran away crying. Garou began a life-or-death struggle with Rover. But Rover was unscathed and continued to fire at Garou. Caught in the explosions, Garou thought he was about to fade away. "I wanted to combat a monster-class hero, I didn't say I wanted to fight a monster. Someone give me a bottle of Coke. I haven't even lived half my life yet, it's over." But despite being heavily injured, Garou stood firm. Rover continued his relentless assault, but Garou managed to dodge. This dog was truly a tank, firing non-stop. The ground above crumbled and shook violently, but the animation at this point seemed a bit more polished. Garou grabbed a support beam and jumped down to attack the dog. However, his punch didn't do a thing. Rover grabbed Garou and thrashed him brutally before firing another energy ball. This time, Garou fell straight down, crashing through the floor and landing right where Joro was sitting. Garou couldn't move. Joro looked at him and mocked, "You're more resilient than I thought. Still not dead? Impressive." He used his powers to clear the rubble off Garou. Garou realized he could manipulate objects. Joro, why do your subordinates keep following me?" Immediately, Garou was paralyzed, Joro had done it. He said, "Get lost, brat." Finally, we learned Joro's level, he is dragon level. Let's chat for a bit. The scene shifts, we see Saitama brushing his teeth, changing his clothes, and heading out. Joro said to Garou, "You're only half-baked, but being able to withstand Rover's attack is commendable. However, that's not enough. I will train you into the strongest monster." Garou asked, "Are you going to teach me telekinesis?" Joro replied, "Not psychic powers, and not martial arts. I'll teach you the secret of immortality so that you cannot die. Your body and mind will become indestructible." It sounds easy, but it isn't. More than half have perished trying, but the secret is to make them experience hell so they become stronger. Garou said, "Sounds like you've performed those experiments on countless people and monsters." Joro admitted that monsterization is easy, but true transformation is only found in those with innate talent. He also desperately wanted to know how to surpass the limits of growth, so he transplanted his own blood and cells to create such monsters. Although there was progress, he faced many failures. Finally, he succeeded for the first time with the Monster King, Orochi. "But I see you have even more potential than him. Ever since you went all out against Royal Ripper, you've become much stronger. You can easily monsterize. You'll just keep getting stronger and stronger. If you follow my curriculum, you will become a monster like Orochi, or even stronger. So, join my side. Together we will wipe out all the heroes in the world and create a world one can only dream of." After hearing all this nonsense, Garou said, I don't need you, and I don't want any of that. Joro sneered, I've had my eye on you for a long time, so you have no right to refuse. Garou snapped, I don't like people who just sit around giving orders. I'll drag people like you down to the dirt. Joro mocked him, big words for someone who can't even move. My psychic power surpasses even the sisters Tatsumaki and Fubuki. I am stronger than God. Garou shot back, what are you doing? I'm getting used to it now. I can still move. Perhaps this is my willpower. Joro was shocked to his core, this kid was bizarre, and convincing him wouldn't be easy. He used his psychic powers to bind Garou with rocks and said, I will train you by any means necessary. But Garou broke free, smashing all the rocks. Garou mocked him, I thought you were smart and powerful since you're the top strategist of the Monster Association, but you can't do anything. You can only do one thing at a time, so I'm not afraid of you anymore. Garou continued, an ordinary monster like you wants to train me? I'm lucky I fell down here. Now, I'll destroy the brain behind the Monster Association. And the rest will collapse on its own. Joro said, the heroes are coming soon, don't bother me anymore. I need to conserve energy. Then he shouted, Orochi, come here and clean this up. Finally, Orochi's hand appeared, grabbed Garou, and pulled him deep underground. After that, Joro released Orochi and gave him space. Elsewhere, Saitama was still reading manga. Even though he knew something was happening around him, he couldn't stop reading, it was very important. Suddenly, a few monsters appeared behind Saitama, likely running away in fear because Orochi had awakened. But Saitama one-punched a few, the rest wet their pants in fear. Finally, Joro went down and said to Orochi, Orochi, I have a plan for this guy. Don't kill him. At that moment, Garou hit the ground. Joro said, you can still raise your hand? Where do you get so much strength? Then Garou stood up again, and before him was Orochi, Lord Orochi. Orochi attacked Garou, and Garou couldn't even dodge. Joro said, that horn strike you just took was just the prelude, son. Orochi had transformed from a human into a monster and could use his forms with ease. Afterward, Garou still escaped and stood firm. It's fine, son. My body has been pierced before, hit me as much as you like. Garou dodged the horns Orochi attacked with and even cleared out the monsters around him. While dodging Orochi, Garou ran, thinking that running forever would lead nowhere. Eventually, he decided to attack Orochi, thinking that if he was once human, his weaknesses must still be there. But suddenly, Orochi's mouth opened like a dragon's. Garou exclaimed, what the hell is that, as several dragons emerged from within Orochi. Immediately after, Orochi transformed into an even larger monster. Garou said, first you bring out a dog, now a giant worm. What on earth is happening? Finally, fire was breathed at Garou, but he remained standing. Joro was extremely surprised. Then Orochi threw a punch at Garou, he blocked it but was still sent flying. Joro said that Orochi is ultimate and Garou has no chance, so he should surrender. Garou said, shut up, I'm a genius, and your tricks will work on me again. I know it's strong, but is that it? It doesn't even feel like a monster. I look at it and feel no fear at all. Garou said, fine, now I'll make you fear. I'll show you my technique. Better be scared. Finally, Orochi was ready. Garou said, why are you using the same martial arts stance as me? Joro said, you're a genius? Fine, do whatever you want. He can copy all your moves and all your techniques. You're just making my Orochi stronger. But Orochi said, you want to see fear? You only managed to copy my technique after seeing it once? Then try imitating my fighting style. Finally, Garou jumped up to attack Orochi, and Orochi was ready. But Garou was thrashed once again. Joro said, you want to defeat the heroes, you want to become a monster, but you don't look like a monster at all, son. You still haven't given up your humanity. Saitama confirmed that the noise was coming from underground, but wondered why it was quiet now. Then he opened a manhole cover and looked inside. Episode 6 opens with a hero team meeting as tense as a guitar string. Child Emperor reports that he has checked the location via satellite and discovered the monster's lair, estimating there are about 500 of them. This means each hero will have to handle at least 60 monsters. The biggest concern comes from high-level, heavy-hitting monsters. Everyone knows that the Elder Centipede from last time was only one member of the Monster Association, meaning they still have plenty of other top-tier demon or dragon-level threats. Information about Drive Knight, who went there to scout earlier but then went missing, makes the atmosphere even more strained. Super Alloy Darkshine boasts that since Drive Knight is a cyborg, he probably hasn't died yet and might be hiding somewhere. In contrast, Zombie Man is more realistic, warning that they could end up defeated just like Drive Knight, so everyone needs to be careful. Amidst that, the lowly Tatsumaki speaks up, confidently declaring that they stand no chance against her, though she doesn't forget to tell everyone else to clean up the small fry to clear a path for her. Pori prisoner's concern is different. He tearfully worries about his dear boys being turned into monsters and captured, asking everyone to let him know if they see anyone in a prison uniform. Atomic Samurai also reflects on an old friend who turned into a monster. Though ready to strike, he still wonders if there is a way to cure them. Hearing this, Pori prisoner proposes a unique healing method. I will try giving them a hug and a burning kiss, who knows, they might snap out of it. Secondly, Flashy Flash seriously assesses that the Monster King Orochi and Garou are definitely dragon level, advising everyone not to solo them. Tatsumaki brags once again that the final boss should be left to her. Zombie Man reminds her to remember they are there to rescue a child, so she shouldn't use too many destructive moves and flatten the entire area. Child Emperor explains that the underground base is very vast, making it hard to know where the final boss is, so the team is waiting to fully gather. Right then, the handsome Sweet Mask appears, asking why no one invited him to the meeting in a very indignant tone. He is a member of this team too. Is it because he is A rank that he's being left out? Child Emperor thinks to himself that only S-rank heroes are allowed down into the lair, while the rest stay above to guard. Sweet Mask certainly won't like this, so he plans to tell him later. He then announces the plan: the attack team will go below, while the support team stays above under Sweet Mask's command. Atomic Samurai adds that any monsters that slip through the cracks will be left for Sweet Mask to handle, while also sending his disciples along. He offers to have his disciples go along, but Sweet Mask immediately refuses the support role, demanding to join the attack team. Tatsumaki bluntly shuts down that idea, snapping, "Don't you understand? This battle is out of your league." Being ignored, Sweet Mask plays his cards, demanding that if they want him to be the captain, he must command the entire lineup of S-rank heroes. Zombie Man, bored, mocks him, "Stop joking. You just want fame, don't you? Fine, the news will replace my name with yours, now listen to Child Emperor." Not backing down, Sweet Mask turns and fires back at Zombie Man, questioning his immortality. "Zombie Man, you're immortal, right? Is it possible you're a monster too? You're S-rank just because you can fight, but we don't know anything about you. How can we trust you're on our side? You were put in S-rank just so people could keep an eye on you." The verbal battle is about to reach its peak as Flashy Flash prepares to go all out against Sweet Mask, when an announcement rings out: the king has arrived. King the Great is here. Sweet Mask immediately shifts his mockery toward King, criticizing his disheveled, smelly appearance and his lateness, while declaring that King must also follow his orders. King only exhaustedly explains that he hadn't even made it home before being called straight here, so he had no time to change clothes. Sweet Mask continues to question why he was late and what he had been doing until now. Just as King is about to mention the delicious hot pot in City Z, someone behind him pumps up a heroic story. King wasn't being lazy, he had been fighting monsters alone all night. The stains on his clothes aren't dirt, but monster blood. He is completely exhausted. King can only remain silent, thinking to himself, why do these people love to exaggerate so much? This fabricated story is surprisingly effective. Sweet Mask is totally shocked. He fought alone all night? Even the habitually arrogant Tatsumaki seems impressed. Sweet Mask immediately pulls a 180-degree turn, expressing deep admiration. "I have gained more respect for you. S-rank still has brave heroes like this. Because of King, I will end this argument here." After saying that, he walks away but doesn't forget to drop a final line: "But I will still go down with the attack team." When the support team has fully gathered, Sitch also declares he will participate, not hiding his goal of being promoted and going down in history. He assigns the support team the task of handling escaping monsters and escorting the child back to safety. Needlestar immediately bargains, saying if the mission is that dangerous, their ranks must be increased afterward, and Sitch firmly promises. At the same time, the appearance of Bang and Bomb makes Sitch wary. Silver Fong asks about Garou and the broken phone, but because he had spared Garou before, the association no longer trusts him and decided to keep the mission details a secret. Ironically, while looking for a place to hide from work, King bumps right into Bang and Bomb. He accidentally spills the entire plan. Upon hearing that Garou might be there, Silver Fawn uses the Brotherhood card, "We've eaten hot pot together, why hide anything?" to squeeze all the information out of King and decides to go alone. King has no choice but to invite everyone to gather at Saitama's house. Meanwhile, Fubuki is also on her way to Saitama's house, having been excluded from the support team by her sister Tatsumaki. She is determined to settle the score with the Monster Association herself with her new group. At the same time, Genos has just upgraded to a new suit of armor, with power even greater than before. Although it has limits, he can only use full power for 10 seconds and there's a risk of the energy core exploding, and looking at Genos' new armor, one wouldn't even want to comment. As soon as they meet at Saitama's house, Genos and Fubuki dive into a verbal war. Genos snaps, "What do you want now? Don't think you can just come here whenever you want." Fubuki fires back, "You're here all the time too, aren't you? When Genos considers himself the head of the house because he pays half the rent, Fubuki immediately exposes him. What rent? This building has no owner, Saitama is squatting here. He's tricking you. Before the argument can be settled, Bang, Bomb, and King also arrive. Everyone is stunned to find that the main character, Saitama, is not at home. Fubuki suggests they should wait for Saitama because this battle will be very intense, but no one pays attention. Genos decides to stay and wait for his master, while the others go ahead. King thinks to himself, what's the point of going without Saitama? Meanwhile, the main character everyone is looking for has already gone down into the sewers and is on his way to the monster lair in the ghost town. The heroes have gathered, but Child Emperor wonders why King isn't there, only to be told that he went ahead. Everyone simply thinks he is acting in his own way. Just then, a few monsters appear before them, signaling that the attack is about to begin. After so much nonsense, the heroes have finally gotten to business. What will happen next? Will Saitama appear like a god? Let's look forward to the next episode. At the beginning of the episode, the entire hero team is present at City Z. Child Emperor is wondering where King is. The soldiers report that they saw him running off somewhere, but he had instructed them to proceed and that he would arrive on time. According to the plan, the strike team will begin the mission. Child Emperor thinks to himself that perhaps King went solo again, as he always treats Child Emperor like a child. Nevertheless, everyone assumes that King acts very quickly and that it is simply his style. They only wish that, just once, they could directly witness King in action. Right at that moment, monsters begin to crawl up from the ground, surrounding the entire team from all sides. A piece of cloth falls from the sky and transforms into a monster. Monsters from behind also begin to attack. Seeing this, Sekindar turns pale with fear. Child Emperor starts measuring and notices the temperature is rising, hitting the 150-degree mark, which helps him calculate the number of monsters. Finally, the monster fully transforms and speaks in a mocking tone, asking why the Hero Association brought the whole team when only a few members showed up. Another monster chimes in, telling them they might as well start calling a priest. After saying this, the ground begins to crack, and buildings are lifted high into the air. It turns out the monster standing before them is using psychic powers. He declares that the eyes on his body belong to the monsters who sacrificed themselves at the hands of heroes, and now their hatred has become his strength for revenge. He then hurls 2 buildings at the heroes, but Tatsumaki easily creates a shield to block the attack. However, she suddenly drops the shield. Sekindar frantically questions why she did that at such a critical moment and whether she was supposed to protect them to the end. Tatsumaki simply replies indifferently that she has no obligation to protect them. Tatsumaki snaps at them, saying that if they cannot take care of themselves, they should just go home to their mothers so they don't get in her way. My mask agrees, stating that their role is to provide support, not to be a burden, and as heroes, they should not be fearful. Tatsumaki turns to the monster, declaring that no matter how much he boosts his power, he has reached his limit. The monster is not only unafraid but also taunts her back, threatening to take both her eyes and her younger sister's eyes. Hearing this, Tatsumaki flies into a rage and begins to unleash her terrifying psychic power, leaving the other heroes stunned. Taking advantage of the moment, the monsters below also begin to attack. A series of A-class and B-class heroes rush into battle. Another hero standing next to My Mask says he wants to show My Mask something. He considers himself My Mask's rival. He throws a rose at a Hulk-like monster, delivers several punches, and finishes it off before gracefully catching the rose. My Mask clicks his tongue and compliments him, saying this one isn't half bad. Next is Feather, who uses his blades to slice through monsters. Then a ninja from the Hidden Leaf village named Shadow Ring also demonstrates her skills. Flashy Flash appears behind her and asks where she learned her ninjutsu. She replies that she won't tell him. Flashy Flash mutters to himself, that's right, my ninja village has no women. Child Emperor observes and sees that everything seems stable. Sekindar responds that this is why the A-class heroes are here, but without the S-class, they wouldn't be able to achieve much. Many other heroes also participate in the fight. Food Battler Piggy, rank 66, C-class, Jet Nice Guy, rank 50, B-class. That guy explains that his knife is coated in poison, just one small cut is enough to finish them off. He is Poison, a C-class hero. The athlete girl, Captain Mizuki, rank 71, B-class, also appears. She uses Olympic sports like pole vaulting, javelin throwing, and shot put to bash the monsters. However, the monsters seem quite tough. At that moment, Super Ally Darkshine appears, saves her, and crushes several monsters. Another masked hero tries to use psychic powers but fails and gets surrounded by monsters. Suddenly, an attack sweeps away the horde. He thinks it was his own doing, he is Gearsper. But as it turns out, the ones who acted were the 3 disciples of Atomic Samurai. Child Emperor thinks to himself that these monsters know they will die yet still come here, so they must have another purpose. Sure enough, a new and stronger wave of monsters appears. A bullet flies in and hits the rhino's horn, fired by one shotter, but it still has no effect. The Rhino gives him 15 points and brags that he has practiced day and night to become the strongest. He says he won't stop until he proves he is the ultimate power. He charges at the heroes and gives them scores. Ian rushes out to block the attack, but he also struggles and receives 69 points. For other heroes see an opportunity and rush into attack, but they are all beaten and given low scores like 10, 80, and 29. This monster, Rhino Wrestler, demon level threat, is feeling smug when Joro, who is monitoring the battle via drone, is also surprised by his evolution. The Rhino is still full of adrenaline. He wants a stronger opponent so he can evolve further. Just then, Atomic Samurai appears, demanding that the Rhino get out of his way so he can inspect the area, and threatens to. The Rhino is angry because he was ignored and asks what score he was given. Right then, everyone realizes his horn has been cut off. He mutters in disbelief, realizing that Joro had lied to him about his strength, that he could take down any S-class hero. He screams, "You get 100 points," before crumbling into pieces. After one-shotting the Rhino, Atomic Samurai continues to slash other monsters. One is defeated with just a toothpick. He minces them with a single sword stroke, leaving the other heroes stunned. Flashy Flash also joins in, clearing the monsters with ease, which leaves Shadow Ring in awe. The remaining monsters, in desperation, target Gearspur but are blocked by Captain Mizuki and Super Alloy Darkshine. Darkshine crushes the monsters while running, which deeply impresses Captain Mizuki. Pori Prisoner also neatly handles the monster that attacks. Meanwhile, Joro is watching from above when his transmission is cut off by Child Emperor. He thinks that he should have watched King fight instead. In front of him, there are also a few monsters standing around, confused and not knowing what to do. Child Emperor announces that they have defeated all the monsters within the time limit, and the strike team will begin entering the hideout. Sekingar says the top priority is to rescue the hostage, so they shouldn't wait for reserves. Then, everyone pushes Pig God down into the entrance together. Atomic Samurai also comes to help, and the whole team begins to move inside. Sekingar doesn't forget to remind everyone not to die. The scene shifts to Joro. In front of him are the monsters who cowardly escaped the battle. Seeing that they don't want to go back, he uses his psychic power to turn them into cubes and feeds them to Orochi, while simultaneously threatening the others. He tells them that if they don't find Now, the S-Class heroes have infiltrated the Monster Association's hideout, and the Monster Association has also thoroughly studied their fighting styles. Will the heroes be able to rescue the hostage, or will they be finished off by the Monster Association? Let's see what happens next. At that moment, Flashy Flash is wandering inside the hideout, holding a transmitter given to him by Child Emperor, which includes a map. Thanks to it, they can communicate and track each other's positions so as not to get lost. A few monsters appear in front of him, but in the blink of an eye, Flashy Flash makes them vanish. He continues forward to find the hostage. Suddenly, Tempest Wind and Hellfire Flame appear to block his path. Flashy Flash rushes into an attack with terrifying speed, but both manage to dodge. Don't tell us this is your maximum speed, Flash. You must take responsibility for the Class 44 incident. Now, get ready. Flashy Flash begins a life-or-death struggle with Hellfire, and both are evenly matched. Flashy Flash jumps into the air to dodge an attack, but above him, Wind has already set a steel wire trap and attacks. Flashy Flash manages to dodge. You dodged it, but I didn't expect you to dare come here alone. It seems you are a bit too confident. Flashy analyzes the situation and holds his sword in a reverse grip. Seeing this, Wind thinks Flashy is planning to run because he is trapped like an insect. As soon as he runs, my steel spider web will tear him into pieces. However, unexpectedly, Flashy Flash attacks both of them and slices through the walls. Are you guys from the Ninja Village? And did you join the Monster Association just to kill me? The two then lead Flashy Flash to another location. Wind begins to attack, but Flashy Flash dodges everything. Afterward, Wind and Hellfire join forces to attack. Flashy Flash still dodges and uses his sword to keep from falling. This is a nice place, isn't it? We stole it from the monsters. Now we can go all out. And now, the members of the Golden Generation, Class 37, will finish you off. The three then clash, but Flashy Flash dodges all of their attacks, and all three exchange moves at a dizzying speed. Who hired you? I'm asking so that after I clean up the Monster Association, I can go deal with that person. All three begin to unleash their full power, but no one is injured. Wind mentions a name, but Flashy Flash had dealt with that person long ago because he sent assassins to kill him. Wind mentions a few more names, but Flashy Flash had cleared them all out as well. Are your nonsensical questions done? Now tell me, who sent you? The people I just named, we plan to deal with them after you, but you did our job for us. Thanks, now it's your turn to die. They claim that compared to heroes, the top fighters of the Ninja Village are much stronger, and their generation, the Golden Generation Class 37, is the strongest. We are the top two among them. Let's see how long a member of Class 44 like you can last. Both attack Flashy Flash together, but he is unharmed and counters, forcing them to dodge. Stop playing around. Hurry up and bring out your monster powers. From the moment I met you, I felt something was off. I know you wanted to lure me to another place. You've just turned into monsters, so you probably can't use your maximum speed yet. That's why you lured me to this spacious area. Now get ready. I will show you that becoming a monster does not mean you can surpass me. Both immediately transform into their monster forms and rush in to attack. Flashy Flash dodges Hellfire's blow, breaks his sword, and dodges the next attack. Watching him fight, they finally understand why people call him a genius. Just like us, in terms of technique, Flashy Flash is far superior to us. His speed and strength have no weaknesses. If it were any other monster, they certainly wouldn't be able to hold out. Do you really think you can defeat me? Stop hallucinating. Tempest Wind and Hellfire Flame, I know all of your moves because I have practiced harder than anyone else. The stronger the fighter, the less they pay attention to the basics. But if you master the basics, no matter how fast the opponent attacks, you can handle it easily. You guys can't do anything. Hearing this, Wind and Hellfire fly into a rage, deciding they will no longer fight as ninjas but as monsters. What you are about to witness is our overwhelming speed, something you will never be able to face. You forced us to abandon our pride as ninjas, so we will attack you until you die. Now, see the difference between humans and monsters and then die. All three leap into the air. Both unleash their full power to attack Flashy Flash, and their strikes manage to graze him. However, Flashy Flash still tries to dodge the fatal blows. They knock away Flashy Flash's sword and use their maximum speed to attack. Flashy Flash also uses his maximum speed to dodge, but he is unable to do anything and falls. But suddenly, he unleashes a series of kicks, retrieves his sword, and uses his technique to slash both of them, destroying half of the area. I have waited for the right moment to kill both of you. If one of you escaped, it would be very troublesome later. If another S-class hero had come here, they certainly wouldn't have been able to keep up with your speed. Your best move would have been to attack them. Hearing this, Wind laughs loudly. Assassins always live in the shadows, always being used and then discarded. We just wanted to be in control of everything for once. We have done so much to gain power, but it's still not enough. Flash, tell me, what are we missing? After that, the bridge breaks and both fall. Flashy Flash tells them that they simply haven't practiced enough. Afterward, Flashy Flash intends to return but realizes he doesn't know where he is. He tries to check the transmitter, but it has fallen into the water. Meanwhile, Child Emperor is monitoring the positions of the heroes and notices that Flashy Flash's transmitter is broken. However, he isn't worried, believing that the S-class heroes can handle the situation. We must quickly rescue the hostage. Once the boy is saved, the psychological burden will be lifted, and we can easily use our full strength. A monster tries to attack Child Emperor, but one of his small robots blasts it to pieces. Here, we see Child Emperor searching for the remains of Metal Knight's robot, and he is extremely shocked upon seeing it. Metal Knight made his robot's body very durable, yet it was destroyed to this extent. Could Monster King Orochi have done this? What kind of attack did he use? I hope I won't have to face him. Metal Knight didn't tell me anything. I must extract data from this body to find the hostage's location. Looking at it, it seems someone tried to reassemble it. The parts scattered here mean someone disassembled it carefully. Could it be that the monsters also have someone who can do this? If the monsters use our technology against us, we'll be in big trouble. Child Emperor finds the hostage's location, and Metal Knight had already drawn a map of the path. Child Emperor begins to think about the rescue and eats a lollipop to stay calm. Right then, Phoenix Man appears, the one who destroyed Child Emperor's robot. It seems you've come here to play. Being a child is nice, having nothing to worry about. But even though you're a child, I won't spare you. Are you one of the leaders? I am a mid-level manager. Although I'm not a leader, the monsters still respect me. The organization has many positions like that, but you wouldn't understand. I can't believe a brilliant child became an S-class hero, and now he's about to die a tragic death. You should never trust the words of adults. Because look at me, I only believe in myself. The Monster Association is just a stepping stone for me to seize the title of King Orochi. Come on, Child Emperor, die. Phoenix Man attacks Child Emperor, but we see that Child Emperor has set up a transparent frame in front of him, causing Phoenix Man to crash into it and break his neck. Child Emperor takes a weapon out of his backpack and finishes off Phoenix Man. At this time, several monsters are guarding the hostage. A frog jumps up and sticks to the hostage's face. We see that Child Emperor has released poison gas there, killing the monsters. That frog also belongs to Child Emperor, it sticks to the boy's face like a mask. A jellyfish monster attacks Child Emperor, but he creates a shield and dodges, then uses a laser to counterattack. However, the monster is unharmed. Child Emperor takes a weapon from his backpack to attack, but it is also useless, making the monster laugh loudly. But suddenly, Child Emperor throws fuel at it and burns it to a crisp. Both leave, and Narinki's son begins to scold Child Emperor for being late, but seeing Child Emperor's angry expression, he goes silent. Suddenly, Child Emperor realizes someone is approaching. He sends a tank toward them, but the monster slashes it to pieces. We see that the monster is none other than G5. Child Emperor realizes it is a machine and attacks, swallowing it in an electronic field, intending to use high voltage to disable the robot. But G5 is unharmed and escapes. Child Emperor then calls for several more robots. They combine into one large robot. Narinki's son is very excited to watch the robot battle. G5 and the robot clash. Child Emperor uses missiles to attack G5, making it unable to move, and the robot begins to slash it. Child Emperor takes this opportunity to take Narinki's son and run to save the boy. The scene opens with the young genius, Child Emperor, carrying the deadweight rich kid Wagama while fleeing from the relentless pursuit of the robot G5. Despite being in a life or death situation, Wagama doesn't forget to mock his savior. Why don't you stay and fight him to the death? Why run like a coward? The young genius patiently explains, as if teaching a child, that the robot is incredibly tanky and tangling with it would only waste precious time, whereas their top priority now is Wagama's life. Wagama stubbornly argues back, but killing monsters is a hero's job. Eventually, Child Emperor's logic wins out, but the wealthy brat begins a long-winded complaint about how tiring running is and how his legs are giving out. Just then, they pass the motionless corpse of Phoenix Man. Seeing Wagama pale with fear, Child Emperor quickly reassures him that this was just a defeated foe he took down earlier. Regaining his composure, Wagama suddenly remarks that the monster looks exactly like Duncan Bird, a mascot from an old comedy show called Animal Emperor. According to the boy, this bird is famous for being brain-dead and getting beaten up in every episode, but it possesses a terrifying stubbornness, always coming back to life in the next episode as if nothing had happened. These words inadvertently make the young genius uneasy. He begins to reflect on the mysterious origins of monsters, worrying that perhaps there are types that truly transform just by wearing a costume. As if on cue, Phoenix Man's corpse suddenly glows brilliantly and springs up like a coil. He loudly proclaims Joro's philosophy: the moment one faces death is the moment to evolve. Thus, Phoenix Man officially levels up, molting into a much cooler new form with his disaster level skyrocketing to Dragon. After a flashy introduction, the battle between Child Emperor and Phoenix Man restarts. The young genius skillfully dodges attacks while quickly shoving Wagama into a protective safety bubble before charging in for a solo confrontation. However, the new version of Phoenix Man is no pushover. He reads all the boy's moves and counters with a powerful peck that shatters the shield and strikes Child Emperor. Feeling the surge of power, the bird becomes ecstatic. Seeing Child Emperor on the verge of tears, he mocks, "Are you crying out of fear? Don't worry, I'll send you off quickly." But the young genius wipes away his tears and delivers a sharp psychological blow. "I'm not crying because I'm afraid, but because I'm frustrated at how weak I am. You aren't even the final boss, yet you're making me struggle this much." Left with no choice, Child Emperor decides to go all out and summons his trump card. Mechanical parts hidden deep underground fly up and assemble into a super cool giant robot. Wagama gapes in wonder. "If you had such a badass weapon, why didn't you use it from the start?" Phoenix Man is equally cunning. He immediately guesses that this armor must have limitations. Sure enough, a countdown timer for the operating time appears behind Child Emperor. The two clash in an earth-shattering combat. Phoenix Man seems to have the upper hand as he is even able to absorb thermal energy. Realizing his opponent's time weakness, he begins to play dirty, repeatedly attacking Wagama to distract Child Emperor. Although Child Emperor manages to electrocute his opponent, his decisive punch is still blocked. The force of the collision is so strong that it breaks the ground, sending both of them falling into the deeper levels. The situation is critical. Child Emperor's robot is nearly out of power and about to explode, while Phoenix Man grows more aggressive as the fight goes on. In desperation, the boy detects Flashy Flash's signal and screams for help. But alas, it is a painful deception. Flashy Flash had dropped his transmitter in a previous battle and is now lost somewhere else. What he found was just a lifeless piece of equipment lying abandoned. At that moment, Phoenix Man charges again, admitting that Child Emperor is a worthy S-class opponent for forcing him to evolve to this extent. Wagama is scared out of his wits. Child Emperor understands that the enemy is getting stronger by the second and must be finished immediately. In that moment, Phoenix Man's memories flood back. It turns out that by wearing this suit, he gradually lost his humanity, letting the costume take over his mind and turn him into a bizarre internal entity. The battle reaches its peak when Phoenix Man officially evolves into his strongest form, Phoenix Brilliant Eagle mode. He lunges at Child Emperor with frantic speed, causing the armor's system to overload and suffer severe water leakage. While attacking, Phoenix Man doesn't forget to taunt, thanking the young genius for acting as a punching bag to help him level up, and arrogantly boasting that he will show the boy true power. He unleashes the Awakened King's Light, summoning a swarm of small monsters that cling to Child Emperor like living ants. Phoenix Man becomes increasingly euphoric and self-satisfied, claiming he has converted his life energy into these minions. He recalls his past as a worker oppressed by his boss, but now he sees himself at the top of society, so strong that even Joro or the Monster King Orochi are not worth his respect. Meanwhile, to protect Wagama, Child Emperor has to charge forward and take the hits, enduring every collision with his rapidly failing armor. Refusing to lose, Child Emperor deploys a fleet of support drones, transforming the robot's arm into a giant drill to counterattack. With only 10 seconds left on the countdown, he has no other choice but to funnel all remaining energy into his strongest punch, blowing away the small monsters and shattering the ground. He immediately calls a satellite robot to repair his broken arm and unleashes his finishing move, Millennium Emperor Nova. Phoenix Man still thinks he can absorb the attack, but that is his final delusion. A massive surge of energy blasts directly into him, creating a giant pillar of fire that pierces through the underground and explodes brilliantly into the sky. When the dust settles, the robot is completely powered down. Wagama rushes over in a panic to check in size and relief, seeing Child Emperor is still breathing, though he is in a wretched state. The first thing Child Emperor asks is about the situation around them, worried for everyone's safety. However, fate isn't finished yet. From the ashes, Phoenix Man crawls back up, charred and distorted, but still alive. He mutters about being used to this darkness and even views this state as a blessing. He glares at Child Emperor. For a kid, you did well. But look at what you did to my costume. This is exactly why I hate brats the most. Child Emperor tries to persuade him to surrender, but Phoenix Man laughs loudly, threatening that the Monster Association will come to steal all of the boy's technology, just as they did with Metal Knight. He snarls, if you had come in peace, I would have given you a painless death, but now it's too late. He asks if Child Emperor knows what a woodpecker is and immediately uses his steel beak to repeatedly peck at the robot. Do you think hiding in that cheap iron armor will save you? Now is the time to pay. But at that moment, the tide unexpectedly turns. Phoenix Man begins to act strangely. He writhes, screams, and then bursts into insane laughter, flailing his limbs as if trying to tear something off his body. Child Emperor and Wagama have no idea what is happening until the young genius reveals his secret. During the chaos, he had secretly released a small robot into Phoenix Man's suit. Its mission wasn't to explode, but to tickle him. Child Emperor calmly states that no matter how powerful he looks, Duncan Bird still has a weak, easily excitable soul. Phoenix Man is tickled to the point of internal injury and, in agony, tears apart his own precious costume. This was exactly what Child Emperor was waiting for. Once the costume is completely destroyed, he immediately lunges in to strip away the remaining pieces, neutralizing Phoenix Man's source of power. The scene shifts elsewhere. The previous massive explosion has accidentally revived Hellfire Flame and Tempest Wind. Meanwhile, Saitama is casually strolling underground, grumbling because the place is constant earthquakes and water leaks, and he has no idea what's going on. Hellfire and Tempest, completely naked after their clothes were burned off, are running for their lives and cursing Flashy Flash for abandoning them. As fate would have it, they run right into Saitama. Both decide to attack, but Saitama simply leans back and dodges with a relaxed air as if he were just exercising. The two ninjas are deeply shocked to realize he can read their movements so easily, knowing they've encountered a powerhouse. They shout threats of returning for revenge before vanishing. Back with Child Emperor, he has stripped away all of Phoenix Man's power, turning a terrifying dragon-level monster into a weak creature that can no longer resurrect. Wagama exhales and remarks that he didn't look much like an S-class hero just now. Child Emperor honestly admits that he panicked because his opponent was far beyond his level. Wagama reassures him, saying as long as he gets him out of there safely, it's fine. Later that morning, Child Emperor contacts the entire team to announce that he has rescued the hostage and is on the way to withdraw. Zombie Man thanks him for carrying the team, asserting that without him, they would all be finished. Child Emperor politely thanks him back but, in his haste, makes the mistake of not double-checking the information. He asks Wagama if he was the only one captured. However, out of selfishness and fear, Wagama lies without blinking, completely hiding the existence of the boy Tario. Suspecting nothing, Child Emperor firmly promises, "Alright, I promise I won't let anything happen to you until we both escape this place." The episode begins with Zombie Man clearing out some low-level monsters. A tentacle monster pierces Zombie Man's hand, but he blasts it away instantly. Zombie Man grumbles, "I wasn't born to fight, I'd much rather be an undercover spy." A few more monsters charge in to cause trouble, but Zombie Man makes mincemeat of the whole lot. After walking for a while, he finds a massive door, opens it, and steps inside. Inside, a bat hanging upside down begins to brag, "I've been waiting for you." This is Pureblood, a demon-level vampire. The surrounding monsters gather to watch the high-stakes showdown. In reality, they are hoping the vampire dies. Pureblood snaps, "These guys are just jealous of me." The monsters tell them, "You two just go solo, whoever survives, we'll gang up on and kill anyway." The vampire asks, "Are you an S-class hero?" State your name immediately. Before he can finish, Zombie Man opens fire, but the vampire is lightning fast, circling behind to bite his neck. He starts sucking Zombie Man's blood but complains that it tastes terrible. Everyone thinks Zombie Man is done for, but he stands back up nonchalantly. The vampire boasts, "I am the only authentic monster here, my ancestors were vampires too." Zombie Man shoots at him again, but the vampire catches the bullets with his bare hands and throws them back, hitting Zombie Man. He even turns to his minions and demands, "Applaud for me," but then he is completely shocked to see Zombie Man standing up again. The vampire wonders, "How are you so durable? I pierced your skull and shredded your neck. Are you the rumored immortal?" "Ah, I get it, just like these guys are fake monsters, you're just a fake human." In reality, Zombie Man's ability is high-speed regeneration. The vampire praises his healing ability before they both clash again. Zombie Man swings his sword but cannot touch him. The vampire delivers a kick that sends Zombie Man's head spinning backward. Even then, Zombie Man manages to land a shot on the vampire. Seeing this, one of the monsters mocks the vampire. Enraged, he slices the monster in half and yells, "What are you laughing at? You think he's the only..." His wounds heal as well. The vampire declares, "Regeneration has its limits, I'll chop you into pieces." He releases a swarm of baby bats to tear at Zombie Man and sucks the blood of nearby monsters to recover faster. He looks back at Zombie Man and sees him remaining unfazed. Zombie Man says, "Let's end this," and brings his axe down on the vampire. After about 30 minutes of martial arts exchange, we see the vampire has been chopped into segments. His final words are, "I killed you so many times, why won't you die?" Zombie Man replies, "You won 200 times, I only need to win once." The remaining monsters whisper, "Did the vampire really lose? What an idiot." Seeing Zombie Man exhausted, they gleefully say, "Where do you think you're going? Now it's our turn to handle you." But it turns out Zombie Man isn't running, he's just closing the door to finish them all off. The animation for this episode is so disappointing that the battle is cut entirely, only the sounds of fighting are heard from behind the door. A moment later, he rests for a bit and pulls out a lollipop, looking rather pathetic. Then he receives a message from the young genius, "I found Wagama and I'm bringing him to the surface. Everyone, keep holding the enemy back." Zombie Man thanks the boy on behalf of the team. Once healed, he sets off again. The scene shifts to Pig God, who is facing a chameleon monster. This one is also a glutton, it opens its mouth to swallow Pig God. Elsewhere, Atomic Samurai's 3 disciples encounter Narinki's mercenary squad again, but they have now been brainwashed by Duess, the sadistic queen. Ian insists they must take them down without causing injury. Duess smirks, "I'll turn you into my slaves too." She orders the soldiers to fire relentlessly. Ian uses his sword to deflect bullets and disables one soldier's armor, but they keep rushing in like moths to a flame. Duess prepares to use her whip, but suddenly a hand catches it. It's a my mask, he has seen through her tricks. Anyone struck by the whip becomes her slave. He turns to the 3 disciples and says, "You kids are out of your league, get lost. I'll handle this one. I have a way to deal with her, and I'm not weak enough to be controlled." Ian and his companions obey and retreat. Duess flirtatiously says, "It's so good to see you, darling. I'm your biggest fan. Let's find a private place to chat." With that, she removes her mask to reveal a hideous face that makes my mask's blood boil. Outside, the disciples wonder what secret move my mask has. Ian guesses he has a trump card he doesn't want anyone to see. Back with my mask, he takes down all the soldiers in a single move. Duess's whip strikes him to no effect. Terrified, she pales, "You're not human." My mask coldly replies, "Monsters must die," and slaughters her without mercy. The scene shifts back to the disciples, who find that Pig God has swallowed the monster that tried to eat him. Suddenly, the floor is cut open, and they fall to the level below. Okametachi uses a wind blade technique, but it is blocked by the monster's hair. The weapons of all 3 are ensnared by his locks. The animation in this part is still incredibly poor, with the characters' faces looking distorted. Ian recalls the words of his master, Atomic Samurai. He once asked, "What if we meet a monster too strong to defeat?" Atomic Samurai replied, "Then we must surpass human limits." Back in the present, the 3 refuse to give up, they shave off Devil Longhair's mane and defeat him, though all 3 are left battered. Elsewhere, Atomic Samurai is fighting solo. The monster Rhino Wrestler charges at him but is sliced into pieces in an instant. Atomic Samurai asks, "Anyone else?" A hand goes up, it's G5, the robot that copied his swordsmanship. Atomic Samurai mocks, "Toys these days are quite fancy, maybe I should order one for my disciples to practice with." G5 responds, "My true strength isn't just copying, it's upgrading." He attacks at maximum speed, but Atomic Samurai still shreds him, causing a massive explosion. However, G5's core is too hard to cut, so he escapes. Atomic Samurai thinks, whatever, let the support team handle it. Finally, we see Terrio being chased by a small monster, Black Sperm. At the start of the episode, Child Emperor is escorting Waganma out of the Monster Association's hideout. The rich kid insists on being taken straight home, but Child Emperor refuses. He explains that his mission isn't over yet, the enemy is very strong, and he has to go back to support his teammates, who he worries won't be able to coordinate well without a commander. Secondly, Waganma expresses his doubt that a child could possibly lead adults, but Child Emperor just brushes it off, proudly boasting that he's also the class president, even though he rarely goes to school. Luckily, they find an exit to the surface. Child Emperor informs headquarters that the rescue mission for Waganma is complete and the boy is safe with the support team. However, the only response he gets is a dreadful silence from the transmitter. He doesn't understand why no one is answering, despite his detailed instructions on how to use it. Sekingar reassures him that everyone is probably busy in fierce combat. Soon after, a few sporadic messages start coming in. Zombie Man and a My Mask both report that the monsters aren't that tough, while Pig God is still busy digesting his food. But then, a message from Atomic Samurai changes everything. I found a kid here. Child Emperor is completely shocked. He turns to look at Waganma, who had previously insisted he was the only hostage. Faced with the young hero's furious gaze, Waganma whispers an apology, admitting he lied just to save himself. Without a moment's hesitation, Child Emperor declares he's going back underground. He hands Waganma over to the support team and prepares to leave. Sekingar tries to stop him, arguing that he's too tired and the main mission is complete. But all he gets is a fiery glare from Child Emperor. For him, knowing another child is trapped and leaving them behind is unacceptable. The other support teams offer to go with him, but Child Emperor refuses, deciding to go alone. Witnessing the courage and determination of an S-class hero, a young soldier standing nearby silently resolves that one day, he too must climb the ranks to that position. Meanwhile, in front of Atomic Samurai, a strange, small monster suddenly appears. It introduces itself as Black Sperm, with a dragon-level threat. It taunts him, showing disdain, saying that Joro had told it about him, but he doesn't look like anything special. Atomic Samurai, who has no time for talkative enemies, curtly replies that he's not interested. Feeling disrespected, Black Sperm gets angry, transforming one of its arms into a giant limb and lunging forward. But with a single slash, Atomic Samurai easily cuts it off. Adding a cold remark that he's dealt with countless enemies like this before. However, an unbelievable sight occurs. From the severed arm, another Black Sperm emerges. Atomic Samurai finally realizes the monster's tricky ability. The more he slashes it, the more it multiplies. Without hesitation, he decides he'll just cut them all down at once. His blade flashes, dicing the monster into countless tiny pieces. But just as expected, each fragment turns into a new clone. The more he slashes, the more they multiply. Atomic Samurai continues to attack relentlessly, but soon, the entire room is packed with thousands of Black Sperm clones. One of them suddenly throws a devastating punch at Atomic Samurai, leaving him battered. He can't believe that just one clone is already that strong. And he realizes he has underestimated his opponent. Immediately, all the clones swarm him. They mock him, saying this is exactly why Joro sent them, because a swordsman's fatal weakness is an opponent that can't be cut to death. Pushed into a corner, Atomic Samurai makes a bold decision. He yells that he'll bury them alive and, with a powerful slash, brings the entire ceiling crashing down on the massive crowd of clones. The sound of Atomic Samurai's battle reaches Zombie Man, making him worry about the situation of his other comrades. But before he can collect his thoughts, a deadly aura appears right behind him. It's Homeless Emperor, a dragon-level monster. He scoffs at Zombie Man's concern, who is still astonished at being unable to sense the enemy's presence. But before Zombie Man can react, Homeless Emperor immediately launches a destructive energy sphere. He boasts that with this power, he can single-handedly take out all the S-class heroes, and that Zombie Man's comrades have probably already been wiped out in an instant. But to his surprise, Zombie Man's body quickly regenerates from the ashes. The immortal hero lunges forward, swinging his axe, but Homeless Emperor once again easily blows his head off. Suddenly, a bullet flies toward the monster, but it's blocked by his energy field. Zombie Man, with his regenerated body, pulls out a gun and starts firing. The only response is a larger energy explosion that destroys everything around them. Homeless Emperor shows contempt for Zombie Man's persistence, a foe who refuses to give up even after death. The hero calmly replies that he doesn't need armor or fancy weapons, his only ability is his immortality. Silently amazed at his opponent's incredible power, Zombie Man tries to buy time by asking about the source of his power. Homeless Emperor, amused by this curiosity, decides to tell him his life story. He was once a failure, fired from his job, cast out by society, living aimlessly in a park and hating humanity to his very core. In a moment of despair, wanting to turn to dust, a being calling itself God appeared. This entity granted him divine power with a single mission: to wipe out humanity and cleanse the earth. Zombie Man listens to the story, thinking to himself that it ended so quickly he hadn't even fully regenerated. He tries to taunt back by asking if that god had an ID card, but Homeless Emperor has lost all patience. He declares he's heard enough rambling and it's time to send this immortal hero back to the earth. Meanwhile, in another place, the continuous earth-shattering explosions make even Saitama, who is out filing a complaint, worry about the fate of his apartment building. In another area of the base, Puri prisoner is being swarmed by a mob of monsters. However, their attacks have no effect on his tough body. The S-Class hero even declares that he finds love even in pain, and unleashes his signature move, the Angel Hug. The power and perversity of this technique sends all the monsters running for their lives. But their joy is short-lived as a demon-level monster named Vakumura appears, blocking their escape. Challenged by his comrades, Vakumura unhesitatingly declares he will solo Puri, but first, he needs to power up. He uses his proboscis to suck all the surrounding monsters into his body. Puri prisoner feels sad at Vakumura's act of slaughtering his own kind. The monster, after his buff, confidently claims he can defeat all the heroes and launches a large energy sphere at Puri. The S-Class hero doesn't flinch. He retorts that defeating all the heroes is not something a creature like him can do. Even as an S-Class hero, he still considers himself just an ordinary person compared to his colleagues. Vakumura continues his relentless assault, mocking that Puri's body is starting to tremble and give up. It's true that his body is trembling, but not out of fear. Puri lightly touches a nearby pillar with one finger, and the entire wall immediately crumbles to dust, leaving Vakumura completely shocked. Puri reveals that his love has given birth to a new fighting style, the Vibration Angel. He rushes forward and pummels Vakumura to a pulp. When Vakumura is defeated, all the monsters he had swallowed are released. Catfishman quickly grabs Maiko and starts to flee, despite her worries about being punished by Joro and Orochi. But Catfishman doesn't care, he only senses a great tremor, like an earthquake, signaling that something even more terrifying is approaching. While Puri is still contemplating, familiar, horrifying voices ring out. He is shocked to realize they are his old prison mates, now completely turned into monsters. Without warning, they all swarm him. They threaten that after finishing him, they will return to the prison and slaughter everyone left. Puri tries to call out their names, hoping to awaken the last remnants of their humanity, and promises to heal them. But all his efforts are dashed when Nyan, a dragon-level monster, appears from behind. He scoffs that once you become a monster, there's no going back. With that, he unleashes a sharp claw attack, injuring Puri before leaving him to be dealt with by his old prison mates. Despite his injuries, the S-Class hero stubbornly gets back up, shouting that he will definitely save his friends. The monsters charge again, but this time, his body seems to have become much stronger. Puri decides to target the mastermind. He rushes straight for Nyan. Seeing his naked, muscular form, Nyan is suddenly reminded of his old owner, who always forced him to cuddle. This horrifying memory makes him panic. He quickly squeezes through a narrow crack in the wall to escape, muttering that he'll go find another hero to fight. But Puri doesn't hesitate, he uses his strength to break through the wall and gives chase. The cat and mouse chase goes in a circle and ends up back where it started. Puri thinks to himself that Nyan has made a fatal mistake by ignoring him, he'll regret not knowing how gentle Puri can be. But then, a tragic sight catches his eye. The prison mates he had just tried to save are now crushed under the rubble of the chase. Tears welling up in his eyes, he kneels down in anguish, screaming a vow to avenge them. His mournful cries echo throughout the base, reaching even Saitama, who is somewhere far away. The bald hero, currently lost, is just annoyed by the unpleasant sound and complains about how vast this godforsaken place is. I guess I'll have to ask a monster for directions. At the beginning of the episode, we see the team consisting of King, Bang, Fubuki, and Bomb drifting through this godforsaken place. Inside, King's heart is pounding and his legs are shaking. He is terrified his blood pressure might drop because a monster could jump out and ambush them at any moment. He only hopes that Saitama will appear to save him. Seeing King looking tense, Fubuki mocks him, asking, "Wait, someone as strong as you is actually afraid of this place?" King denies it repeatedly, but Fubuki mistakes it for humility and admires him even more. Bang also nods in agreement, thinking that is how a true warrior should be. Poor King is screaming on the inside. Memories rush back as King recalls reading magazines where people praised him to the high heavens as the strongest man on earth. While the truth is quite the opposite. The whole team reaches a fork in the road, and Fubuki suggests splitting into two groups. The scene then cuts to the bald Caped Saitama, who is surrounded by a noisy crowd of monsters. He looks visibly annoyed because their constant screaming is giving him a headache. After the intro, we see Pig God scooping up a bunch of monsters like he's eating snacks. One monster turns pale with fear but is still swallowed whole. However, every cloud has a silver lining, or in this case, a sharper thorn. Just after swallowing them, Pig God is swallowed himself by the dragon-level monster, Gums. Just when it seems Pig God is done for, he rips through Gums' throat, crawls out, and launches a fierce counterattack. Next is the performance of Super Alloy Darkshine. His opponent is Bug God. The monster punches Darkshine relentlessly, but the hero remains unfazed and looks even shinier than before. Bug God is bewildered, unable to understand why this hero isn't even bothering to fight back. Darkshine expresses his disappointment. You were talking so big at the start, I thought you were some kind of elite marksman. Your body is just a dry skeleton, while I am made of high-tier muscle. He dismisses Bug God as too weak to even interest him. Darkshine then warns that there are 3 heroes you should never provoke. First is Tatsumaki, second is King, and third is himself. He claims that if he gets angry, his muscles will lose control. Infuriated, Bug God transforms into his super form, confident that his shell is harder than diamond and his body is a living weapon. He unleashes a flurry of punches, but Darkshine only needs one punch to make Bug God disappear. Darkshine sighs, noting that even a high-level monster couldn't leave a single scratch on his skin. Suddenly, the ceiling trembles. It seems an earth-shattering battle is taking place on the floor above. That is Saitama. After clearing out the fodder monsters, he encounters the giant dog, overgrown Rover. This is the same dog that made Garou run for his life. Saitama thinks it's just a normal dog and tries to teach it a lesson by telling it to sit. However, Rover responds by blasting an intense energy ball directly at his face. Saitama gets annoyed. You're just as noisy as the rest of them. Be quiet. He throws an incredibly light punch at the ground. The entire base shakes violently, and the tremors spread all the way outside, allowing other heroes like Genos to feel it. Genos immediately knows his master has made a move. The cat monster Nyan, hiding nearby, witnesses Rover being defeated in an instant and is scared out of its wits. It tries to sneak attack Saitama from behind, but its claws only lightly graze his bald head. Actually, they don't even scratch it, they just leave a faint mark. Saitama turns around, first a dog, now a cat? Nyan is so terrified it retreats with its tail between its legs. Saitama is left confused. Wait, what happened? Meanwhile, Joro, the strategist of the Monster Association, realizes Rover has been defeated. The scene shifts to Tatsumaki facing off against Joro. She arrogantly asks, so, you're the boss? Overconfident, Joro uses psychic powers to float and introduces herself as the queen of ESP. Tatsumaki basically tells her she talks too much. You're the boss, right? That's all I need to know. Joro attacks, but Tatsumaki is unharmed and even mocks her. Is that all? She counters, tearing through the barrier and blowing off one of the monster's arms. Joro is enraged and reveals her true form covered in eyes, applying 300 times gravity on Tatsumaki. The girl finds it slightly interesting but remains completely unfazed. Tatsumaki uses her psychic powers to wring Joro out like a wet towel. The monster realizes this girl is much stronger than she imagined. Facing certain death, Joro still tries to boast, but Tatsumaki coldly tells her she is nothing to her. In desperation, Joro screams for the Monster King, Orochi, to save her. Tatsumaki finds the name familiar. Joro threatens that her boss is matchless and Tatsumaki is doomed, but they wait, and Orochi never shows up. Tatsumaki sneers, maybe he's too busy to bother saving you. Joro panics, damn it, where is Orochi? The scene cuts to where Orochi is. He is busy hosting a VIP guest, Saitama. Orochi, in his giant beast form, faces the small, bald man. Saitama says nonchalantly, my house is right above here and it was too noisy, so I just came down to give a warning. Orochi senses the danger coming from Saitama and knows he must kill this man immediately or he will regret it. He launches a preemptive strike, but Saitama remains confused. Why do you guys always like to attack me? I'm just defending myself. Orochi orders Rover, who has now shrunk out of fear, to attack Saitama, but the dog is so scared it nearly pees itself and runs away. Orochi asks, what did you do to my dog? Saitama replies, I just gave it a little punch. Orochi analyzes the situation and realizes that Saitama is the one who destroyed other high-level monsters like Goketsu and Elder Centipede. He becomes extremely excited, thinking he has finally found a worthy opponent. Orochi intends to absorb Saitama's power to become the ultimate life form. He talks endlessly about evolution, but Saitama cuts him off. I don't care. You talk too much. I'm going to punch the hell out of you now. Saitama criticizes Orochi, you're strong, but you've lost your way. Just come at me already. Orochi unleashes his full power, and Saitama responds with a serious punch. Wait. No, it was just a normal punch, but the power is terrifying. The bald hero charges through the attacks as if no one is there and punches Orochi to pieces. Even though the animation in this segment is a bit lackluster, Saitama's power remains absolute. Finally, Saitama lands a punch that pierces straight through Orochi. As he dies, Orochi asks, what kind of move was that? Saitama answers, just a normal punch. As he dies, Orochi realizes, is this what fear feels like? And so, the Monster King is blown to bits. Meanwhile, in a locked room, Garou is battered and chained up, looking quite pathetic. Outside, King is wandering alone. It turns out that when they split up, the other three went together and left King by himself. He is so scared his heart is about to jump out, but he tries to reassure himself, I am the one with invincible, cosmic-level internal power. Suddenly, the young hostage, Waganma, runs up and grabs King's leg, crying for help. King is terrified of being exposed and yells, "Are you crazy? Go find another hero. Following me will get us all killed." The boy thinks King is being cool and protective. Suddenly, the boy melts away. It turns out he was a disguised monster. After Saitama punches Orochi into fragments, he calls back to the remains, "I told you one punch would be enough." And that concludes part 1 of season 3. This visual torture has finally paused for now. This was only the first part. We'll likely have to wait until next year or even 2027 for part 2. The sad news is that JC Staff is still the studio in charge, which is quite worrying. Only God knows the future of this series' animation. After this series, there will be a bunch of great new anime coming in January. Everyone, remember to subscribe and like the video to stay updated with the shop.